G'day guys, it's Kelvin, coaching company in New Zealand. What I'm doing today is I've been setting up, would you believe it, a John Deere? Yeah, I'm sure it's a John Deere 9770 harvester. And it's getting, we see that? There we go. A Link Monsoon. And it's also getting one of the new Link can display, little 52mm display. Really cool bit of kit. And this one, I'm going to show Jesse, the guy who's getting this, how to work on a Link. This could be a challenge. He's Australian. He's a farmer. Pretty good with a welder. I'm not sure about the software stuff. So, and his first Link, it's not going on his car, not going on his 1UZ powered surf. It is going onto his, it's actually getting a seed destructor on the back of this combine harvester, the harvester unit. I've made this massive crazy loom. That's in another video. But what we're going to talk about is setting up some warning buzzers, warning systems. So I've got a little warning buzzer. Auxiliary 1. There it is, auxiliary 1. Test on. Let's go test on. We'll see if we can hear it, eh? Yeah, that's in the other room. I reckon that'd be pretty annoying if you had it on for long enough. Yep, I reckon that would be annoying. Okay. So I've got just the one output to the buzzer. There's also a little warning light on the can display, the Link can display unit. But I'm kind of cheating the system here. So RPM, no problem. But the second one I've put in as a wheel speed sensor. And then I've calibrated it to run at about 1900. And then you can change the display to, instead of being kilometers per hour, to be RPM. So it works for me. I've got another screen set up here. Jesse Harvest, look. See? So here's the wheel speed, engine speed, and here's the wheel speed. And they're coming from the same place at the moment. Beside me, I've got a 4AGE distributor, and I've wired these both together. And I've been calibrating my wheel speed sensor, which then goes to the can dash. So I'll just show you this. So there's my RPM, and there's my wheel speed sensor in kilometers per hour. 2,700 kilometers per hour. So when I feed that to the dash, the display, and I want to put the minimum warning at 1900, it's kind of outside the parameters because the dash still thinks it's 1900 kilometers per hour. So I had to have a second way of doing a warning system. And I had predicted something to be right, so I put that audible buzzer on. So we're going to set up that buzzer. I mean, actually, we'll just show you this calibration of this today, because Jesse may need to change it. So RPM, Jesse, when you're setting it up, if you've got the 12 tooth, it's just under the triggers. ECU settings, down, triggers, trigger setup, trigger 1. It's a reluctor. It's on the crankshaft. It's on the drive shaft, and it's got 12 teeth. My 4AGE distributor's actually got 24, so I'm getting twice as many revolutions, but it's still within where we want it to be. So that's our trigger there. Yes, I do want to delete that. And then we've got the wheel speed sensor calibration. Wheel speed down the bottom. So it's under chassis and body. It's not part of the engine. Right hand front. Bring it in the right hand front. We'll just chuck this down here. And I've got it calibrated for a 12 tooth wheel, funny enough, which is a 72. Let's say I change that. Let's go a big change. Let's go to 50. And we'll watch here. well, actually, we're watching on the screen at the RPM and the speed, and you'll see the wheel speed sensor going much, much higher. And we've actually got the little graph. If we're looking at the graph there, it's not really showing it nicely, is it now? Because it's become so condensed. I might have to zoom in. Let's see if I can just do something little here. Zoom. I want to zoom. No, that's not what I wanted. Logging. I wonder if I just close my logging. I'll just stop that. Beauty. Right, I just zoomed in a little bit, and we're going to run this up again. Let's give this a go. Probably need to push record. Here we go. So we can see there that my speed sensors aren't running together. But if I get this up a bit closer, we go to 70, we'll get them pretty close now. And you'll see as they come through, they're getting a lot closer. Calibration number today is 72, and it pretty much makes one line. Beauty. Right, anyway, we were going to, doing funny things. We are going to set up our warnings. So we want a warning buzzer for temperature, temperature 1, temperature 2. We want a warning for low RPMs for both drive shafts, because the RPMs are on the drive shafts. And we want a warning, there's a micro switch. If that goes off, we want a warning. So we want warnings for all of those things. So there's not enough warnings on a 1 GP output. So what I've done is I've taken GP output, general purpose, output number 1. I've called it the warning buzzer, auxiliary number 1. And I've said we need condition 1 or 2 to turn on. And number 3. So, and number 3. So number 3 is if our engine speed drops below 100 RPM. So that's on the front drive shaft. If it drops below 100, basically the vehicle's not moving. The engine's shut down. Turn the engine off, it's at 100. And that means we don't have a warning buzzer going when the engine's just, when the key's turned on. Excuse me. That would be bad. And then what I've done is I've put virtual auxiliary number 1 to be on equals active when it's on, and virtual auxiliary number 5 to be on. Let's go over to virtual auxiliary number 1. So I go ECU settings, and we go up here. Have I done this right? I wonder, just give me a moment here. Can I just turn on auxiliary 1? And I bet you it's going to give me a warning saying No. It won't let me. So I can't double up. You see, I can't have this virtual auxiliary turning on a real auxiliary. I can't, this output won't turn on. I can't double up on them, which is a pain. It'd be nice just to turn them all on. So I've got virtual auxiliary number 1 turning on in condition number 1, 2, or 3. So it turns on if virtual number 2 is active, virtual number 3 is active, and virtual number 4 is active. So now I can set virtual auxiliary output 2, 3, and 4 to whatever I want. So let's go to virtual auxiliary number 2. GP output. And we're going to call this one don't touch that with your fingers. What am I going to call it? This is engine speed warning. And virtual auxiliary number 2. There's a lot to remember when we're doing this. So we want it to give us a warning if the drive shaft or the engine RPM front drive shaft is going too slow. I'm just going to leave it on condition number 1. I'm not going to worry about a delay on or a delay off. I've got a delay set in the real auxiliary. Parameter 1. I think I can get away. All right, I am just thinking engine speed is less than 1900. I could put a max on that one. Like if there's a big, if he's going down the road, is he going to go more than 3000 RPM? Let's put it in there as well. Oh, I got my TV going as well. Engine speed is greater than, let's go 3000. So Jesse, there you go. We basically want to keep the engine speed between like 1900 and 2500. So he can adjust that, and so he needs to watch what I'm doing, and he'll learn how to adjust this stuff. I'm just going to save that in. And let's just do a bit of a test. Can we get rid of this view? Yeah, I can get rid of that view. Yep, I can get rid of this view. And those two are important. I'll go over here, runtime values. Well, can we have a view? Runtime value list. We can probably do that, eh? Let's get rid of that. Warning buzzer status. Put that in there. Let's just have that one a moment. Warning buzzer status is presently inactive. We'll make it bigger, right? Give it a stretch. Oh. Font size 20. That's still pretty small, eh? Font size 24. Don't really need to be stretched, does it? Okay, so we've got our engine speed. Our buzzer is active. And see, the wheel speed doesn't really come up until it gets to about there, and then they sort of match. There we go, it turns off. Now it should switch over at 1900 RPM. Let's see if I can squeeze it. There it is. And back on. And back off. That is working like it should. You know what? I should have left that calibration for the other drive shaft out, because then I could alter my speeds. That's all right. Right, we're going back to the configuration. So that one's working. Let's set up another one. Output 4. We're going to call this one, we might go temp 1 warning. So this has got a temperature at the front of the, we could probably just put all the temps. No, I'm going to change that. We're going to go drive shaft 2. 2 warning. And we're going to have virtual auxiliary 3. And we're going to have, hey, did I set the other one up for an overspeed? Didn't check that, did I? I'm just use this little button here. Condition 1 only. So it's not going to give me a warning for condition 2 because it's not set. So we're going to do condition 1 or 2. And now we're going to save that. And I'm going to go, guess what? I'm going to go check it. Because this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to check everything we do. You'll notice it takes a moment to switch on. It's because I've got a 1 second delay. And you'll notice that my maximum drill speed at present is 2,700 RPM. So I can't get to that maximum warning limit. So if we go back to configuration, we change this to 2500, and we go back over here. These little arrows, Jesse Harvester. Here we go again. So we've got coming up. We're active because the front drive shaft is turning, the engine's running. The rear drive shaft is still below. We've got a warning. We're coming up. We're within the normal operating range now. We're going down the road. There's another warning. I can hear the buzzer ringing. You probably can't because the drill's next to me going off. It's a drill straight onto a 4AGE distributor. Works great. Little 20 valve distributor. It's got 24 teeth in it. So I get twice as much. I get 2 RPMs for every 1 turn. Doubled my RPM. So that is the front drive shaft, or the engine RPM warning is now set, and it's got both of those conditions. We go back here, and I'm going to do this for every single one. Got the little green arrows up here. So that's the engine speed. This is drive shaft 2 warning. I could have tucked the micro switch or the temperature on that other setup, but I chose not to. At this point in time, I'm going to leave them a bit more spread out just to make it easier, because then we can go through and check them a bit easier. So again, we're just going to do condition 1 at the moment. I'm not going to have a delay, so parameter here. And this time, it's chassis and body. It's actually I fed it in on the right-hand front wheel speed sensor, right-hand front, right front, less than, and 1900 kilometers per hour. That looks good, and we're going to save that into the ECU. We go and check it. Now, I can tack some more parameters in here. I just right click, properties, and we can go auxiliary outputs. There's got to be some shift. We're going to put all those in. Actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to just tuck all of them in. Bam. And we definitely need a bigger screen now. So we can see which one of these warnings are actually bringing us the stuff we want. Now, you'll see the warning buzzer's not active, but these ones are active. And that's because at present, of course, this one's going off because these ones are going off. This one's going off because the speed is less than 1900. But the buzzer isn't ringing and going nuts. This one's going off again because that drive shaft's under 1900, but the buzzer's not going off because the engine speed is under 100 RPM. It's not turning. We're going to watch those turn on. And I'll bring the speed up. And then we can come up a little bit more. We're going to get it within the working range. So that's 1900 RPM. And they all stop. Now, if I play a little trick on this system, if I hit the right button, and I go ECU settings here, and I go to that wheel speed sensor, it's right down, right front wheel speed sensor, and I bring that up. I'm just going to put this over here. Now remember, that doesn't work for me. Yeah, now remember we paid calibration. So we know that the ideal number is 72. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw a bigger number in it. I'm going to make it 80. Hope that gives me what I want. So theoretically now I should be able to have virtual auxiliary number 2 in the operating range of above 1900, under 2500, but I still should be able to have the drive shaft 2 below the threshold of 1900. Let's try it. It's very hard for me to just hold it there. Very hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this calibration number. We're going to bring it up another 10. Hopefully that gives me enough difference. Our buzzer's going. The engine speed is within the threshold. The second RPM, it's not actually wheel speed, it's kilometers per hour. It's actually RPM is under the threshold. We can actually get them all off. There is enough range. Oh, can I get that? Oh, we just go over. We'll put 80, we'll try 85 in here. I actually was maxing out my engine speed, was going over 2.5, and my second drive shaft speed, that right front wheel speed, second drive shaft speed, was under the 1900. Hopefully now there's less of a difference between the two. We can do what we need it to do. Perfect. And that is doing exactly what it should do. Back to 72 on my calibration number. So those, we know those are now working. So that's our 2 drive shaft warnings. There's, of course, the little buzzer. I can just hear it in the other room. Next, I'm going to put some temperature warnings in. So we've got pretty much that second speed can't go over 2,500. So I'm going to leave that just on condition 1. I could actually tuck in the 2 temp warnings into this one if I wanted to. I'm not going to. We're going to put it into another one. And it's about just showing Jesse what we can do here, because he has to work all this crap out when he's configuring it. Oh, we'll give it the big word, commissioning. Number 5, and we're going to call this one temps and micro. And of course he's going to change it round appropriately. Virtual auxiliary 4. And we're going to have it on, this time, all conditions. So 1, 2, or 3. Parameter 1. Now, what I did is those 2 drive shaft speed, the transfer case or diff temperatures, I fed them in as coolant temp and air temp. The ECU doesn't know what temperature it's reading. Hey, where are you? Temperature. So we'll call it the ECT. And condition 1, if it is greater than, or make it greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to 120 degrees. That buzzer's going to go off. Have I got my heat gun? I've got my heat gun. We can test that one. Parameter 2. Click on that. Again, it's under analog inputs, down under temperature, IAT for the second one. Condition is greater than or equal to, and it's going to be 120 degrees, which is fairly hot. And then parameter 2 is on a digital. We've got a little micro switch. Micro switch warning status. And I've got it wrong, because I've got this micro switch around the wrong way. So I actually need to go and correct that. It would be on all the time. So what I'm going to do, it's meant to be naturally closed. So I'm just going to stop here, and I'm going to go put a bridging wire in my micro switch so I can actually set this up correctly. And that's quite important, so we know this is going to work when it hits the field. So I'm going to make it equal, I think, and I'm going to active. Don't know if that's actually correct. We look in the runtime values of what's going on. Digital. Yeah, so it's inactive at the moment. But I've actually got it the wrong way round. So I'm going to go to the setup. And we're going to go to the digital inputs right there. And we're going to go down to GP inputs, microswitch warning. You'll see I was playing with GP speeds, drive shaft speeds, so I'm actually going to delete that. Just to make it a bit cleaner while I'm here, while I'm looking at it. I tried it as an RPM, it didn't want to go in nicely. I wasn't happy with the inputs and the calibrations available. I was going to have to feed it through a maths channel. I didn't want to do that. So the active state is actually on high. So the microswitch is now active. I don't have the jumper in it. Again, it's not going off because the engine isn't running. I'm just going to store this in. But the microswitch is presently open circuit, so it should be faulting. It should be going nuts, but the engine isn't running. So we're going to bring it up to 100, over 100. Then we're going to bring it up to 1900, and so the drive shaft warning and the engine speed warning should no longer be active. They should be inactive, but the temps and micro should remain active because that microswitch is presently open circuit. So here we go. So a warning buzzer is still going off because the microswitch is tripped. That is working beautifully. So that's doing what it should. But I want to test those temps. So now I'm actually going to pause this. I'm going to go get my heat gun. And we're going to do some temperature changes. And I'm going to try and not burn my carpet. Okay, just wait there for just a moment. Rightio, I'm back again. I have changed my microswitch. Should we put some more info on here, eh? So I'm going to push properties. I've got a digital input. I heard it. I heard things moving, trying to burn my carpet. Microswitch status. I did it wrong again. It is starting to get a bit late, so I did an 11:30. I was working on this, trying to solve problems last night, and the night got away on me, and it actually slipped into today. I've been in and done a day's work, and I'm just proving that men can't do two things at once, eh? I'm doing it really well. But anyway, I've done a day's work, and I came back here, and I have organised to have a bit of a chat with one of the guys from Link who does this sort of stuff. He's very techo. It looks like I'm trying to heat up the ECT, isn't it? So I want to get that to 120 degrees, and then this one will become active. Of course, this one isn't. The buzzer's not going because the temperature, no, because the engine isn't doing the necessary RPMs. Okay, so that's why these are active, but this is not going again because that 100 RPM limit that I put in, so you don't have the buzzer ringing now when the engine's not running. But we want to see this get up to 120 without burning this place down. Right, I've set my temperature gun and I've got it on 140 degrees. Of course, that's at the element, so that should come up reasonably quickly and we should get to 120. And then we'll see our temperature go, hey, yes, there's a problem. We're going to go active. Of course, if the speed's going, everything else is in the right place, that one will remain active. Or I might have to crank up that temperature just a little bit more. Let's wait there. That should do it. And I think it's really important that I check every single circuit I can in this. It's probably not in the heat range enough, eh? Of course, the link's freaking out. It's going, hey, we're hot, we're hot. That's why it's changed to orange. I've also set it to default. If things go wrong, it defaults at 150 degrees. So if I unplug the sensor breaks. Anything like that, we'll unplug that IAT, eh? Watch it. So if anything happens on the circuit, you just saw the IAT default to 150. But we're going to get really close to our 120 degrees, and then we'll watch the temps and micro go active. And that will cause the buzzer to go off if the RPM is over. Here he goes. Equal to. Why did we not? Oh, there it is. It took just a moment, didn't it? But it has gone active. So that's doing what it should. It's also brought up a fault up here because I unplugged that temp sensor. Of course, that doesn't display on the dash though. Could I make it display on the dash? I probably could actually display fault codes. Not sure. I'd have to have a look into that. But we can see the ECT, which is the front or temp 1, has reached the warning level and made that system go active. I'm going to do the same with IAT or the temp 2 circuit. So we can see the ECT is cooling and the IAT is going to start to warm up. Right, what else do I need to check? I've got the micro switch done. I've got the temp. I've got the other temp. I've got the 2 RPMs. No, that's pretty much it. That's the main stuff done. Jesse should know how to turn these on now, do the warnings. We can put more warnings in for other stuff or other conditions if we needed to, but I don't need to. I've done it with that. And I've done it by, of course, just sort of stacking all those virtual auxiliaries together. I could also stack 5 and make 5. I actually put in 5, and it's subject to 6, 7, and 8. So if I needed to put more in, I can do that. So hopefully that'll help you, Jesse. It's long and boring, but it kind of shows what we're trying to do, and I'm checking and getting everything right in here for you. I'm going back to setting up that little dash, display dash. But hey, have a good one. We'll talk to you again soon. Catch you later.